Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly astrology for the week of March, and my microphone isn't working as usual. March 14th, that's where we were. So this week we have a lot going on, just looking at the chart for the week as well. And I've already obviously been through the week to look at every single day, and there's a lot of stuff going on with Mercury even, and a lot of stuff going on with other planets. But I kind of picked out and just wrote down a couple of the things that I think really stand out to me this week because there's a lot going on. But one thing I would say is definitely watch the emotions this week and reacting emotionally, especially with the political climate, everything going on. If you're in the States, the elections, all this other stuff can make us go absolutely crazy. And especially with everybody on Facebook and everything like that, spreading all this stuff and everything. So just watch your emotional reactions this week, and we're going to get into that at the end of this video. But I think this week is prime for overreacting and reacting emotionally without even looking at the facts. So just be aware of that and be careful of that. But we start the week off with Mercury square Saturn. And I think that I think it's been kind of, these energies have probably been affecting us for maybe about a week now, and I think it'll continue for a little while longer, but I think that this position is making us not sure what to do. It's creating a lot of indecision and probably a lot of overthinking as well. So when Mercury is squaring Saturn, we can overthink things, especially if we're trying to start new projects, start new businesses, or start anything new, I would say. Like I said, you can really overthink a lot of things. Mercury square Saturn, to me, a lot of the times too, it always seems to have this build up where it's like you're preparing for something new and you're really excited and you gather a bunch of resources, and then you get to that point where you want to make the decision, and then you're afraid to let those resources go, whether it be money or time or knowledge, whatever it is. And I think that this position here is really about letting those things go to try to move forward, and it is all about overcoming fears and things like that this week, and probably moving forward as well. Next, we have Venus squaring Mars, as kind of fits into that, in that when Venus is squaring Mars, I think it can make that overthinking thing get a lot worse, where we overthink things and we can't make a decision when we're indecisive, because Venus square Mars doesn't like to be bored, doesn't like to have these feelings of not being sure what to do. And so, it's really about just making a decision and just doing something. Venus square Mars can give us a lot of courage as well. I would say that if you're not being able to decide things with Sagittarius there, it might be a good week to go on a vacation, to travel somewhere, and to talk to somebody, to just go for a walk, something like that to clear your head. I think is a good thing to do this week if you're finding it hard to make decisions and things like that, because again, sometimes just when we get out there and get these things out of our head, we can make better decisions and things. With Venus square Mars here as well, and again, Mars is in Sagittarius, I would encourage you to try to be grounded this week. I think there's a little bit of kind of going to extremes here with Mars and Sagittarius, definitely being tempted to go to extremes. Again, we're seeing this in politics. We've been seeing it already, where it just seems like everybody is just like on one side or the other, but extreme. I don't think there's ever been a time in history, in our recent history at the very least, and old, long ago history for sure, but there hasn't been a time like this where there's just everybody is so extreme. Everybody's an extremist right now with everything that they believe. So I think it's about being the opposite of that and kind of being very centered during this time, which is very hard to do with these kind of positions. Next we have Mercury is sextiling Capricorn, and this is a good position. Again, this thing I think will come in a little bit more towards the middle of the week, and I think it'll make things calm down a little bit, maybe even have a little bit of humor, and this can be a funny position, but also it can help us understand and see the truth as well, I think, and really discover the truth. I always picture Pluto as kind of like a detective, and in Capricorn that would be a hard-working detective as well. Plus with Pisces and Mercury there, I think adds that little bit of intuition as well. So it's kind of like a nice position for me as far as I'm concerned. The way I see it, it's a really nice position, and I think it's a good week to, when you start to go to these extremes that we've been talking about, to just stop and think about it, and then really figure out how you truly feel. You ask people on the street how they feel. I honestly don't think people could answer that question. People do not know how they feel right now. It's just all reaction, emotional based feelings. They're not grounded in thought. A lot of the things that are going on, and again, I'm sure all of you can think of 1,000 of examples where you've seen this, where people just, there's no real kind of grounded, truthful thought. And hold on one second. So definitely remember this week to stop and think about things. I think that's going to be really important. That was really where I was going with that. Next, we have Mercury also going to be opposing Jupiter, and this can make our thoughts a little bit scattered, and this really, again, makes things a little bit more confusing. That's why I really think there's a little bit of confusion going on this week, and especially committing to a certain path can be very difficult if you're trying to do something like that. Chances are, if you've already committed to a path, you maybe won't be feeling so scattered, and because you're already committed to something, you're already going in a certain direction. But again, Mercury opposite Jupiter can make us a little bit scattered. It can also make us try to do a little bit too much, I think. And I'm sorry, I said Mercury opposite Jupiter. I might have just said Saturn, but Mercury opposite Jupiter can make us try to take on too much, can make us try to do too much, and it can also make us make very big promises that we shouldn't be making. So watch the promises this week. Watch what you agree to tell people, that watch what you say you're going to do and things like that, because again, we can kind of blow things up and blow them out of proportion with this position here. Next, Jupiter is going to be trining Pluto, and this is great for managing things, though. So this kind of lessens that Jupiter, the Mercury opposite Jupiter there, and this Jupiter trine Pluto brings in a little bit more kind of structure, especially because Pluto is in Capricorn, so it brings in even more structure and allows us to manage new projects and manage our life and even build more structure into our life and things like that. It also lets you see the big picture as well. So, but again, I think there needs to be a very strong pause this week if you're going, before you make any decisions on anything, before you react to anything, before you even make a Facebook post about something, reacting to something. I would say stop and think about it first, and think about what you're going to say. And you might find yourself saying exactly what you thought you were going to say, but again, I think it's more important to tap into some of these other energies, like this Jupiter trine Pluto. Really investigate things before you say it, and then you can make your decision. Times like these, I think of times like these where we have these interesting placements with Mercury, which are prime for misunderstanding things. And it's interesting because if you're on social media and you look at Facebook, it's times like these where there's like an uptick in the sharing of fake articles that people think are real and things like that. And then you'll see on Facebook people will share all these like Snopes articles that say that they're not real. But it's that kind of energy right now where I think it's prime for things that aren't truthful coming out, more or less. We also have Mercury is going to be conjunct Chiron. This is a very good position, and it really allows us to see into situations if we take the time to stop, pause, and listen, and really figure out what's going on. It makes us very intuitive. It's a very good time to also trust your feelings. Remember, I said most people don't know how they actually feel. So how do you actually feel about something, and really trusting those feelings to make your decision, to make a reaction, or to just talk, period. And also, I will say Mercury conjunct Chiron is a great time to do anything. It can even be good for like technical things, computer work. So for any of you that work on computers or anything like that, it's a great time for that. And finally, we have Venus is going to be conjunct Neptune. This can make us feel a little bit dreamy when it comes to relationships and wanting relationships and people that we potentially think we could be in a relationship with. It really strengthens everything else I've said because it makes us feel more of our emotions, and it makes us react more emotionally. So definitely, I think the big takeaway for this week, and the thing that I would say is probably most important, is to watch your emotions this week and just watch your reactions. And like I said, that doesn't mean you're not going to react how you feel like you're going to react, but it just means that you're going to maybe take that pause before you say something that might upset people. And again, maybe you're okay with that. This is not about judging what you're going to do. It's just about making sure that you're coming from all angles here. You're not just reacting emotionally, but you're also reacting with evidence. Because again, like I said, it's prime for, saying something, putting something on social media, making the wrong decision, and then kind of having the truth kind of come and bite you in the butt if you're not careful. So it's still going to be a great week. Like I said, it's actually not a bad week. I think this is great for anybody who wants to investigate new things. If you want to look into something new relationships, new businesses, new job ideas, anything new, it's definitely a great week for, planning out structure, looking at the structure, investigating better structures, investigating new things. Like if you're looking at a job, maybe it's a good time to look at the job, but maybe look at similar jobs as well. You might find something better this week with all these positions. Same thing with relationships. You might find something better. So just keep an open mind this week, watch the emotions, and it will be a great week.